Members of the J area, welcome back to another live stream. We're here live on a Thursday night talking about pro wrestling, talking about a tier ranking for every member of the WWE roster. It's something that I've been wanting to do, especially because I know all of us have our opinions regarding some of our favorite stars in the WWE, whether that's on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or not. But we have a lot to talk about. I see we already have activity here in the chat. Sanfran5, welcome back. Don't let this distract you that Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist with a broken freaking neck. And the thing is, Kurt Angle is not on the roster right now, but you know he'd be at the very top. A lot of activity here on the chat on a Thursday night. I mean, you guys were here for a minute there, waiting for the stream to start. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys always, showing up for these live streams. It's become a big motivating factor in terms of the growth of the channel. It's become my favorite aspect of the channel itself, aside from just talking pro wrestling. Being able to connect with you guys here on a live stream on a face-to-face basis, I guess you can say. I can't see your guys' face, but you guys can see mine, and it certainly feels like you guys are here with me. Every time we do these live streams, I certainly look forward to them because I just find it as another opportunity for us to connect. So that's another purpose of why I wanted to do tonight's live stream, is just tackling the entire WWE roster and showing you guys where they stand on my personal rankings. Now, I know for some people you might not agree. I'm going to take it both from an objective and subjective point of view. I'm going to take into consideration not only how they are as a performer, but how they are presented on TV. Again, it's not the correct list. It's just my personal preference in terms of how we're going to rank it. And there's a lot of people here on the roster. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pull up our tier ranking here. And there's a lot of ground to cover. Obviously, we have it from a D tier. D meaning, it's a dud. They're there. They're there. They exist on the roster. C meaning, they're not bad. I kind of think they're good. They're about average, we'll say. B is above average. I'm thinking like mid card. I'm thinking, these guys are really good, but maybe they're not in the upper echelon. When you get to A, these are not the main eventers. These are guys that you consistently see at the top of the card. These are guys who are fan favorites. And of course, S being at the very top. There's no denying the star power. There's no denying just their greatness. Sanford 5, imagine ranking of the year with the 40-man Royal Rumble or the Greatest Rumble. There would have been a lot of like C tiers, I think, because the roster there just wasn't fantastic, if I do say so myself. Everyone, welcome Sylvia to the chat. Hey, how you doing, Sylvia? Glad to have you here on another live stream on a Thursday evening. We're talking about tier ranking the entire roster. I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of share my preferences with you guys and see where you guys were in terms of your fandom or really just what were your preferences in the stars of today. Obviously, if you are familiar with the product, if you're familiar with the WWE, you're going to have your opinions. But then for those who maybe aren't as familiar, this is your chance to kind of gauge the room and see where we all kind of stand with a certain superstar. Obviously here, we're going to start with Omos. Omos is someone that is not really presented on TV a lot. The last time I think we saw him might have been around the time of Backlash 2023 when he had that matchup against Seth Rollins. Aside from that, they don't really do much with Omos. I have nothing bad to say about Omos. He had a title reign with AJ Styles as the tag team champion. But for me and my preference, I'm going to put Omos here at D. Nothing personal. It's just because I don't feel like we see enough of him. I think this is definitely where I would put him for now. So this is new for me, taking my notepad out. Take your notes. Take your notes. And again, like I said at the top of the live stream, it's not the correct list. This is my personal preference, and I'm going to try to give a little bit of explanation as to where I'm putting everybody. I would be on the show, but your boy has stuff on his plate. Well, you see, that's just you now flexing on the people that you're consistently busy. It's very difficult to be able to get Sanfran here on the live stream because he's just a hot commodity. People just want to have him a part of their business. So I respect it. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here on a Thursday night. Next up is Sheamus. Sheamus is a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's won every single championship there is to compete for. sans the Intercontinental Championship. He's won the World Championship. He's won the WWE title. He's won the US, the tag, the Royal Rumble, the King of... He's done everything. Literally has done everything. And at this point in his career, for him to be able to have consistently good matches against the likes of Drew McIntyre, against Gunther, Pete Dunne, Kaiser, Braun Breaker, I certainly think that Sheamus is one of the better members of the roster. And it's crazy to think that he's technically a veteran now. He's been with the company since 2009, at least on the main roster. I'm not going to count developmental, but he's been on the main roster since 2009 and hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. I mean, Sheamus is one of the best. For me, at this time, because it could change, I'm going to put him at the B level here. I think there are certainly some guys I put above him for my personal preference, but I'm very confident and comfortable putting him at minimum the B tier. He's not going any lower than that. We have Adriana Rizzo, who's from NXT. She is a part of the Don, the Tony D'Angelo family when it comes to NXT. She really hasn't gotten that many opportunities in terms of in ring. She is basically used as like a mouthpiece and, for the lack of a better phrase, kind of like eye candy for the D'Angelo family. And it shouldn't be that way. I certainly think she has the potential, but again, that's just what she's working with down in NXT. So based off of that alone, she has a lot of potential, but I can't put her anything above Omos. Omos has at least been on the roster. AJ Styles. I mean, dude, AJ Styles. Anybody in the chat would tell you just how phenomenal this guy is. I mean, certainly a Hall of Famer, can have a great match with about anybody. Another guy that's won the IC title, the US title, the main title, the tag title. He's an all-generational talent. I look at a guy like an AJ Styles, and he's just someone who, if I know he's on the card, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I got to watch his match for sure. AJ Styles is an all-time great. I'm going to put him in the A tier. Nothing, and he could definitely go in the S tier, but still, I'm going to wait and see where we're going to be at by the end of this. AJ is an A tier right now. If it was him a few years ago, S tier. I mean, certainly you could make the argument he's an S tier now, but it's just, again, I don't want to be giving out S tiers too soon and too often. Definitely, right now, as I sit here, definitely A, minimum. But I certainly think an S tier is a possibility. Next we have Akam, who's a part of the Final Testament, also a part of Authors of Pain. Again, he's another guy like Omos, where they're kind of limited in their presentation. He's used as the muscle. He's used as just this hulking figure to help out Karrion Kross and the Final Testament. His run in NXT and as the AOP alongside Razor, solid. They had a good title reign, having solid matches against the likes of Undisputed Era. But I really can't say much about him because they haven't really done much of note with him on the main roster, aside from being the heavy, being the heater for guys like Karrion Kross, even Seth Rollins for a time being. Nothing personal. I'm gonna put him here at the D tier. Again, nothing personal. Alba Fire. I'm a fan of Alba Fire. She was previously known as Kaylee Ray down in NXT UK as a former NXT UK Women's Champion. We haven't seen much of her on the main roster because of the tag team with Isla Dawn. Nothing wrong there. Again, I don't want to act like I'm going to shut down any of these guys or girls and make them seem like they're trash. None of them are trash. They're here in the WWE for a reason. It's just in terms of presentation, in terms of limitations, that'll dictate where we're going to place them here. I like Alba Fire. I'm a fan of hers. But again, due to limitations, I'm going to have to put her in the D tier. And it's nothing bad. Actually, I'm going to put her here above Omos because at least... Can I move him? Yeah. At least she's consistently on TV. How about someone that hasn't really been on WWE TV for some time now? Alexa Bliss, a former women's champion in her own right, a Money in the Bank winner, was a surprise standout from NXT. I mean, this was around the time that we saw people like Sasha Banks and Bayley, Becky Lynch and Charlotte all were main stars here. And Alexa Bliss was there, but kind of like as a background figure, wasn't really supposed to be a main eventer. But upon making it to the main roster, certainly made some noise and became one of the best heels that they had. It's been a minute since we've seen her. She has been out with a pregnancy. She gave birth to a child. Congratulations to her on becoming a mother. I do think of the women that we've seen here, nothing against Kaylee Ray or Adriana Rizzo. This is the best we've gotten. I feel very comfortable placing Alexa Bliss here in the C tier. And again, this can change. It's fluid. This is what we're putting them at the time being, but I can't really put her anything above. I think Alexa Bliss has certainly outperformed what her expectation was coming out of the NXT developmental brand. We look at the next guy, Alex Shelley, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, a decorated tag team. Although their time on the main roster, or with the WWE rather, has been limited. It's only been a couple months, but they made an immediate impact. Shout out to TNA. And by winning the tag titles, have been thrusted into a prominent tag team storyline with the Street Profits and DIY. I'm looking at it from overall, not just the WWE. All these individuals, I'm looking at it from a career standpoint. I think Alex Shelley, and quick spoiler for Chris Sabin as well, is one of the best tag teams in North America. They have had stellar careers in TNA and Japan, stints in Ring of Honor, and now they're in the WWE. I think highly of the two. Again, a spoiler for Chris Sabin because he's probably going to match up with Alex Shelley. I'm going to place him at B. I really am a fan of theirs, and I can't wait to see what they're able to accomplish further down the line in the WWE. How about Andrade? Andrade, who is no stranger to the WWE. He has been there. He has done that. Held the U.S. title, held the NXT Championship, had two separate runs because he had left for All Elite Wrestling. And in All Elite Wrestling, we were able to see a more athletic side of Andrade. We saw that in WWE, but it became more of a standpoint in ring-wise when it came to AEW. Now he's back in WWE. Obviously, his most prominent story here at that time of returning is the Carmelo Hayes Best of 7 series, fully demonstrating why he is that good. I think Andrade, another one of those guys like an Alexa Bliss who kind of outperformed their expectation. These guys weren't really pegged as the next star. Certainly as a star, but not like at the very top. I'm thinking up for Andrade. Very comfortable at placing him as B as well. Same tier as Sheamus and Alex Shelley. Again, this is just my personal preference. It's nothing, I'm not saying one is terrible or one is like the greatest of all time. It's just for me where I would rank them. Angel Garza, as a member of Los Larios, he's also a part of Legado del Fantasma alongside Humberto Carrillo and Santos Escobar. I like Angel Garza. I think, again, a lot of these people on the roster, I'm a fan of. I can say, I like them. But in terms of like a tier ranking and where I'm going to place them, I can't put him anything above D. It's nothing personal. It's just a matter of presentation and what I'm looking forward to. Nothing against him. And again, the list is fluid. We can continue moving on, and I might change and maybe bump him up. But at the time being, first instinct, I'm thinking D. Angelo Dawkins, one half of the Street Profits, one of the best tag teams that the WWE has right now, coming out of NXT. Angelo Dawkins was one of those guys where they didn't really have much for him. He was bouncing around tag teams, bouncing around storylines. He was basically used as an enhancement talent down in NXT. But upon pairing up with Montez Ford, that's really where you began to see him flourish. These guys they gel well together. The chemistry is fantastic. The charisma is fantastic. What I enjoy is seeing Angelo Dawkins and his hot tags because he is pretty athletic. You would not think it because Montez Ford really takes away all the spotlight for better or for worse. But I do think that Angelo Dawkins is pretty damn good. I think good enough for me to put him at the C tier. Again, tag team specialist at this point in his career. I'm curious to see where they go if they were to split. Next up is Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, uber talented, uber athletic. Had a good little run in NXT, but upon reaching the main roster, haven't really seen much of him. I want to like Apollo, but with him, it's not really anything to write home about. Is he good? Yeah, he's good. But again, overall presentation, I just can't. My personal preference. Ariana Grace, the daughter of Santino Marella, for those who remember Santino Marella, I think she's great. I think she has the personality. I think she is able to present herself in a very comedic way. Every time I see her on TV, I have to stop and watch just because not only does she get it, but because she's like Santino's daughter, you know it's there. You know it's there. And you can see the charisma. I love the fact that they had her paired up with like TNA and became the NXT liaison and had that little partnership there. I think she had recently gotten injured, which is why we haven't seen her much in the ring. But certainly, Ariana Grace has a lot of potential so long as she could stay healthy, consistently improve as a character. And by the way, Ariana Grace has one of the funniest moments in NXT for me as of recently when she faced off against Gigi Dolan, and Gigi Dolan gave her a good old low blow and hit her below the belt, and she had this reaction. The facial expression was fantastic. I mean, I still get a kick out of it. I think she's definitely one of the unsung heroes in NXT. But again, I look at it from the standpoint of experience, and she's on NXT. I can't really put her anything above for me personally, especially because we haven't seen that much. We're going to really zip by some of these because there's not really that much to say. I mean, Ashante the Adonis, he's well known for his time in Hit Row with along the likes of Top Dollar and B-Fab. His latest storyline as like this Romeo kind of player when it comes to the Divas, the women's division. I can't. I'm gonna put him in D tier. We have a lot of D tiers here for me personally. Now look at this, Asuka. Now we're talking. Asuka, one of the best to ever step foot in the WWE ring. The women's division, I feel like, really got leveled up when we got Asuka debut in NXT. She had the longest reigning women's championship at that point in NXT, has consistently been one of the best workers, not only in ring, but presentation wise. She's one of those girls where it's like, you see them involved, you got to stop what you're doing. You got to watch the matchup. I love Asuka. Big fan of hers. I'm going to put her all the way in A. I think Asuka is one of the very best to do it, certainly for the women's division, but the WWE really picked up a huge deal when they got her. Austin Theory's next up. I like Austin Theory, but here's the problem with the Austin Theory character. They place him as a heel, which is fine. He's a good heel. But because of the pairing with Grayson Waller, I'm over it. I think, again, another guy with a lot of potential. Let's turn him babyface. I think he can really have a good babyface run. If you've seen his stuff with like the Make-A-Wish Foundation and you see him with interacting with some fans, I think he has it, man. I think he has it. I like Austin Theory. Super athletic, can sell his butt off. And I mean, I don't know. I don't see why they're kind of wasting away Austin Theory. For him, I'll put him in the C tier just because I want to see more. He's certainly not in the D tier. I don't think he's quite up there in the upper echelon. I think B is like, okay, we're talking mid-card to main eventer. A is main eventer. S is certified superstar for me personally. If you're just joining us here in the chat, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. We are doing a tier ranking of every single member of the WWE roster from NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Go ahead and voice some of your opinions down in the chat below. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the pro wrestling content that we provide here on YouTube. Next up, we have Axiom, one half of the tag team champions. I like Axiom. I know initially when he had came out with this entrance where he was kind of coming out slow-mo, and it was weird. I thought it was weird. But then seeing him in the ring, and certainly with his partnership with Fraser, they have won me over. I'm a big fan of Fraxium. I think they're the best tag team, arguably in the company. I mean, consistently putting on great matches, have a storyline that I've become invested in, whether it was them coming together as foes and then as partners, winning the tag titles, having their little quarrels and their disagreements as to how they wanted to go about their matches. I like Axiom. I'm going to put him in the C tier. It's tough for the NXT guys because I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement there. I don't want to go ahead and throw Axiom like in the B or A tier because he certainly has more to live up to and more to achieve. Bayley. What can you say about Bayley? One of the best baby faces the WWE has had in the last decade. A great storyline where we saw her and Io Sky have a really good matchup at WrestleMania. Wins the title. Whether she's a heel or a babyface, entertaining as hell. Love Bailey. Plus, she's a Niner fan, so that really helps out for my case. Super great in the ring. Her ability to connect with the audience, I put on par with like a Sami Zayn. I put on par with like a Mick Foley. Just organically getting over, and it's easy for us as fans to become invested in them and enjoy their work. Bailey, I'm gonna put at the A tier. I think Bailey's fantastic. Becky Lynch, another one of the NXT four horsewomen, came out, with the Irish jig gimmick in NXT, but was basically able to evolve into the man, into the superstar that she became, and one of the best that they have, not only in terms of the women's division, but just in general, a certified superstar. Can't wait for her to make her return. I'm fairly confident it'll be at the Rumble. I thought she was going to return at the Raw, the debut on Netflix. Wasn't the case. I'm thinking Becky Lynch is going A. I got to put her in A. B-Fab, limited. Limited. I think we've only seen her wrestle maybe twice, and that was like the Royal Rumble last year's, and then like a triple threat match where she had the opportunity to qualify in a tournament. If my memory serves me right, I believe it was for the inaugural U.S. Championship. There's nothing really to say. I'm sorry, B-Fab. Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, dude. Superstar. I mean, has the intangibles, has the athleticism, has the character, has the in-ring ability, and the way she just stepped out on the scene in 2021, winning the Rumble, having a fantastic matchup against Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné. Big fan of Bianca Belair. I can confidently put her in A. And again, the list is fluid. I can go ahead and move them up or move them down if I want to. This is just my initial first impression. Next up, we have Blair Davenport. Davenport was good in NXT, but upon joining the main roster, we didn't really see much of her, truthfully. I mean, we had a little bit of a rivalry, I guess, with Naomi. But again, Blair Davenport's another one I'm going to put over here. A lot more to see from her. I want to see her succeed. But I think her best days were in NXT, for sure. She had a good feud against Roxanne Perez. But aside from that, nothing really of note. Braun Strowman, the monster among men. I mean, a former Universal Champion, Intercontinental Champion, entertaining. And let me tell you something. He's one of those guys who, yes, is a giant, would have been Vince McMahon's like wet dream. I mean, he loves him some big men and presenting them as some kind of dominant force. But he's got the personality. He certainly has the chops to carry a character. His feud with Roman Reigns, like in 2017, that really put him on the map. And, he kept saying, like, I'm not finished with you. I thought was entertaining stuff. His stuff with the Wyatt family I thought was fantastic. And then just this recent run, he's kind of been stuck in the mid-card. We know what he's capable of. We know what he's done in the past. I look forward to a good old-fashioned Braun Strowman matchup as much as the next guy. I'm going to put him in the C tier. Brinley Reese, who is in NXT, one of the younger ones. Not much to say. I mean, we don't really get to see much of her. It pretty much is used to put over the other talent. Nothing against her. Brock Lesnar. I mean, say what you want about the man, from a business standpoint, whatever the case. I got to put him in S tier. Because with Brock Lesnar, dude, every single time he's in a matchup, you're watching it. Every time he's on TV, your eyes are on that TV. He is a star. It's hard to deny that. He had great matches against the likes of The Undertaker back in 2002, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero. Then you move forward to like present day, CM Punk, John Cena, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. He can have a good matchup with anybody. And I love the fact that they were able to switch it in his second run and present him as like this dominant force. I know we don't like the fact that he had defeated The Undertaker and ended the streak, but I get it. I understand why they did that. It makes sense. We might not like it. I certainly feel comfortable putting him at the S tier. Braun Breaker, dude, this is gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star in the making. He's only been on the main roster for 9 months, maybe a little bit more. He came like in March, I believe, but he did make his first appearance at the Royal Rumble in January. I love Braun Breaker. He's another guy like Brock Lesnar where it's like, I'm going to watch their match. And I'm very comfortable putting him here at the B list, B tier. He's going to be big. He's going to be huge, man. Next up, we have Bronco Nima, who is a member of OTM. Truth be told, I can't have nothing really to say about OTM. Their main star in OTM is Jada Parker. And like upon researching, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be very transparent with you. I look at Bronco Nima, and I look at a lot of the other members of NXT. I had to look up their names. Like obviously I know who they are. I've seen them on TV, but name wise, I don't know who these people are. Bronco Nima, no disrespect, we're gonna put him at the D tier. Sanfran5 says meat. Nothing but meat when it comes to Braun Breaker and Brock Lesnar. Kevin, good to see you too, my friend. Glad to have you here in the chat. We're just tier ranking every single member of the WWE roster. It's a lot of people, dude. A lot of people, but I wanted to have this opportunity to kind of share my preferences with you guys. I wanted you guys to know who you guys, or I wanted you guys to know who I very think highly of. And I'd love to hear from you guys as well as we're talking about each individual. Share some of your favorite superstars or some of the people you don't like and can't stand. This is really just an opportunity for all of us to kind of share who we're fans of, really. Need another episode with you and your brother? Hey, we're down for it. It's in the workings. We are currently discussing a certain series. We won't give it away too early, but it's in the workings. Trust me, you have not seen the last of Sanfran5. He will return at a later date. Sooner rather than later. Just keep an eye out. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. And what I like too is I do these videos. I do the live streams. And certainly I want to give my point of view on pro wrestling. I want to be able to share my affinity for it, as well as give you guys an idea on like what I like and what I don't like. And sometimes I feel like it comes off a little bit too analytical, and that's just how I speak, unfortunately. But when I have him on, it kind of allows me to kind of just chill out for a second, man, and just have a good time as if we're just talking shop and just, just talking about the good old times, talking about pro wrestling. So the more we have him on here, I feel like the more relaxed I'm going to be. I loved having him on, and I'm glad that a lot of people were very receptive and enjoyed having him on as well. So certainly we're going to have him here. Also, I agree with what you said last stream. Last time I said Seth Rollins deserved the win over Punk. However, Rollins losing will only go up from here. Now we get Crash Out Seth Rollins, which I think is one of the best Seth Rollins. Don't get me wrong. I like Seth freaking Rollins, the whole visionary, the revolutionary. But when Seth Rollins crashes out and he's serious and he's cutting these promos that cut deep and you can see it in his eyes, he has his fire, that's my favorite Seth. I like fired up Seth, man, because sometimes when he has that little laugh and he's trying to be jokey, and it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I still like Seth. He's one of my favorites. But I like the fired up Seth Rollins, man. There's nothing that beats it. And that's a pretty good segue here because Bronson Reed's next up. Bronson Reed, dude. I mean, Sanfran5 referenced it earlier. We were talking about meat. I mean, the tsunami that he gave Seth Rollins, not once, twice, not 3 times. Hell, not even 4, 5. No, he gave him 6 tsunamis and knocked him out of competition for a couple months there. Bronson Reed has propelled himself as to one of the best stars, one of the biggest stars on Raw. It's just a shame he's injured. I think for sure he has all the potential in the world, but the injury certainly does slow him down. I'm a fan of Bronson Reed. I'm gonna put him just above, if I can slide him over, Braun Strowman. Again, the list is fluid. I might move some people around. How are ranking these wrestlers? What's your rubric / grading scale? What determines an S and an A? So I'm glad you asked that, Kevin, because we can run a reset here for people who are just joining us. So this is my personal preference on how I'm going to be ranking. D is basically like, hey, we don't really see much of them. It's very difficult for me to not like someone. I like the majority of the roster. I think it's the deepest we've seen the roster in quite some time. But for me, D is like, hey, they haven't been on TV. They're not used as much. Or it's really going to be relegated to guys in NXT because they're still inexperienced. They're still trying to gain more TV time. D for me is like minimum. Like, hey, there's nothing more we can do for you. It doesn't mean they're terrible. Doesn't mean they're trash. It's just we need to see more. For C, these for me are like mid card, like bottom mid card. I enjoy seeing them. I think they have high potential, but that's the most of it, potential. That's why you have guys like Axiom and Bronson Reed and Austin Theory there. Those guys have all the potential, but I can't put them any higher. Braun Strowman, the reason why I have him in C is because I like him, but it's like I don't put him above the rest in B. And B would be like your main event guys. These are guys who are your workers. I really enjoy their work. C, I would say, is maybe like average for me. Like I'm not going to go crazy over them. B is like, okay, a big fan. Love their work. Big fan. A is like certified main eventers. A is like, hey, this is like the top, the cream of the crop. And obviously S is superstar. I think you got to tune in for these guys. These are your top billings. These are your main guys. So again, this is my personal preference. It's going all around in terms of like in-ring work, character work, and also considering their work outside of the WWE. I'm not going to just limit it to just what they've done in the WWE. If they've worked in TNA, if they've worked in AEW or elsewhere, I'm going to take them into consideration. That's why you see a guy like Alex Shelley in B. He hasn't really been with the WWE much, but big fan of his in TNA. I'm putting him in B. Brooks Jensen, NXT. And this is another thing. Brooks Jensen, we haven't really seen much of. He was in a tag team with Josh Briggs for the longest. Now he's paired up with Sean Spears, previously known as Ty Dillinger. Can't really do much with him. I'm going to put him in D. Nothing bad, nothing personal. It's just I haven't seen enough. The Creed brothers. We got Brutus Creed. I like the Creed brothers. I think they're uber talented. I don't think we've seen a lot of them because when they weren't with Chad Gable, we weren't really seeing a lot. Now they're with Chad Gable and they're kind of seen as his lackeys. I would very much like to see more of them in the tag team division, but I do feel comfortable putting him in the C tier. I like their work. I want to see more. Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae, the current reigning speed champion for the women. Patience, everyone. I'll be back soon. Just reading the chat for San Fran 5. I like Candice LeRae. I feel like she's another one where we don't see a lot from her, but I do certainly put her over the D tier. But I can't put her anything above C. Next up, I want to say that's Carmella, isn't it? Oh no, that's Carly Wright. Carly Bright from NXT. Another one. NXT, we don't really see much of her. I can't put her anything above D. What's going on, Muhammad? Welcome to the live stream. Appreciate you stopping by. We're just tier ranking here the entire WWE roster. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the live stream, it's my personal preference. It's my personal list. It's not the right one. I'll tell you that right now, but it's just how I feel. If you guys want to share your thoughts and opinions on some of the stars that we've included, or maybe you don't agree with some of my takes, or you do agree with them, go ahead and sound off in the chat. We'd love to hear your guys' take and perspective. Hope you're doing well, man, and your health on a Thursday night. Likewise, Muhammad. Likewise. Appreciate you as always. Carlito. Carlito doesn't get used a lot nowadays. He's relegated to the Judgment Day, but I'm a big fan of Carlito. I think he's super entertaining. We don't really see him much in the ring anymore, but he's certainly one of the more entertaining guys on the roster. I feel comfortable putting him at C. I can't put him anything above just because if you ask me in comparison to like a Braun Breaker, Andrade, Shelley, and Sheamus, not on the same level for me. But I do feel comfortable putting him here near the top of C. Carmella. We haven't seen Carmella in a minute, dude. And because she's out, she, I was with Corey Graves. They had the pregnancy. When we did have Carmella, I thought she had the charisma. I thought she was very entertaining. In ring-wise, she had shown improvement, certainly. And she was one of those women in the NXT division where the 4 horsewomen were running the show. We didn't really see much of her because we had people like Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha. But I'm going to put her in the C tier. I like her work. Carmelo Hayes, dude. Carmelo Hayes. Big fan of him. Big fan of Carmelo. Love what I see from him. Great in the ring, but we're really seeing him evolve as a character with this latest run. Kind of becoming a cocky, arrogant rookie. And basically throwing it back in everyone's face that he was a top pick in the SmackDown draft. High expectations for him. And as well, whenever I see him on TV, I gotta see what he's up to. I gotta see the matchup. His matchups with Andrade, stellar. And I peg him and I peg him and Braun Breaker as future stars of the company. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Big fan of Carmelo Hayes. Cedric Alexander, he's like again like an Apollo Crews, where talented, loved his run in 205 Live and the Cruiserweight Champion, his feud with Mustafa Ali, but we don't see enough of him. Nothing personal. I mean, come on, is there like any doubt? John Cena, come on, he's the GOAT, one of the greatest of all time. Especially now with this retirement tour coming up, we got to cherish John Cena, man. John Cena, one of the greatest of all time, having a great run and the main event scene. And I was listening to a podcast with JBL. He and Conrad Thompson, of course, were doing the Something to Wrestle With podcast. And they talked about how important it was for John Cena when he was the face post Attitude Era. That not everybody or not anybody could have fulfilled that role. I mean, it's very difficult. You're coming from Stone Cold, The Rock, where there was very little limitations as to what they were able to say or do on TV. And now you're just watering it down by making it PG. John Cena was the focal point of that era in wrestling. I definitely think that John Cena didn't get enough credit during his run, which is why it's so nice to see him getting that credit now before we see. Super happy about that. Love John Cena. Can't say enough good things about him. Chad Gable, in a word, underrated. This guy is the second coming of Kurt Angle because of his in-ring ability, because of his comedic chops. I'm a big fan of Chad Gable. I would have loved to seen him win the Intercontinental title. Obviously, throughout 2024, that didn't happen. But who's to say that's not going to happen in 2025? I think it's very much a possibility. I would like to put Chad Gable in the B tier. I think very highly of Chad Gable. We have Stax. Stax, again, who is another member of the D'Angelo family down in NXT. Potential's there, but I need to see more. And again, it's nothing personal. The D tier is going to be basically NXT people. Because I don't think either in NXT they're still developing, or we don't really see enough of them for me to put them above into a C tier. So it's nothing personal. Same thing with Charlie Dempsey, son of William Regal. Shows promise, has the whole no quarter catch crew. Like what I see from him. Can't put him above. I'm not going to put him on the same level as guys like Braun Strowman or Carlito, Bronson Reed. I can't do it. Charlotte Flair. Hey, say what you want about Charlotte Flair, but she is one of the best wrestlers in this generation. I know some of us aren't fans of her because of the way she's overpushed. I get it. Some people believe in nepotism. I certainly think there's a case for that. But in terms of star power, it's there. It's there. Only because, hear me out, only because I think Asuka, Bayley, Becky, and Bianca, I prefer them over Charlotte. You can certainly make a case for her. I want to put her at the B tier. But I think I'm going to put her in the back of the line on the A tier. Hear me out. It could always change. Chelsea Green, dude, entertaining. In a word, entertaining. So happy she got the U.S. title. Certainly worked her butt off. I'm going to put her here in the C tier. Next, we have Chris Sabin. And we talked about Chris Sabin already briefly with Alex Shelley. I think those guys go hand in hand. TNA World Champions, Tag Champions, one of the best tag teams pro wrestling has seen, certainly in the last generation, will you? Dude. Come on. Come on. CM Punk. If you guys don't know by now, this is biased. I'll tell you flat out. This is biased. CM Punk is my guy. Promos, in-ring character, in-ring work, the presentation, everything. This guy has everything. He's the total package, in my opinion. The only thing that works against him is maybe his size, because a certain McMahon wasn't a fan of those who were smaller. CM Punk, one of the greatest of all time. Absolute S tier, no doubt in my mind. And now thinking about it, I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm throwing AJ in the S tier as well. I had him in the A tier, but I'm going to put him in the S tier. It's hard for me not to put him there. Cody. I love Cody, dude. That's my guy. The best baby face they have in a while in terms of like the face of the company. Cody is a superstar. And to see what he's been able to do leaving the WWE and then coming back and like amplifying his success, is the leader of this new generation, the Renaissance era, the Netflix era, the Triple H era, whatever era you want to call it. He's at the top. I'm going to put him in the S tier. Again, hey, that's me personally. Cora Jade. Cora Jade has a lot of promise, man. And she's going to be one of the few NXT superstars that I'm actually going to put in the C tier. I'm a big fan of Cora Jade. I think she has the look. I think she has the character. The only issue with her is her health. She'd be getting injured. Let's be real. She do be getting injured. But I think the sky's the limit for her. We have Cruz del Toro, member of Legado, or excuse me, formerly known from Legado. He's now in the LWO. I don't see enough of him, man. I really don't. So sorry. Andre Chase, again, another NXT guy, is going to go into D because we don't see enough. I've seen his in-ring work. Personally, not my style. Now, character-wise, don't get me wrong, Andre Chase is entertaining as hell. His promos in the classroom are great. But I need to see a little bit more in-ring. I think he'd be a great manager. I really do. But in-ring-wise, he was one of the first guys that showed up in NXT 2.0. That was the same time Grayson Waller, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, the same time they came. And all of them are already on the main roster. They moved up, and Andre Chase is still down there. Izzy Dame. Putting at the bottom. Is that Izzy Dame? Yeah, it's Izzy Dame. It's kind of small on my screen. Because she's in NXT. Mia Yim, Michin. I like Mia Yim. Can't wait to see her match against Chelsea Green. Dakota Kai. I'm a fan of Dakota Kai. I like Dakota Kai. It's another thing where she gets hurt often. And as long as she stays healthy, she'll be fine. Damian Priest. Damian Priest, man. The year he has. Talk about it. You guys have seen him. I'm hoping you guys have seen the growth. We saw Damian Priest in NXT. Saw his run with the Judgment Day. But 2024 was a stellar year for him. In ring-wise, improvement. Character, you can see the confidence coming back. But also the big thing is around the time they had that documentary come out for Damian Priest, this guy just blew up. People connected with him on a deeper level. We want to see him succeed. We want to see him win. Easy B tier. Easy B tier. Danny Palmer, NXT. Not only that, but Danny Palmer, I don't see it. I get it. She's super athletic, but Dante Chen, same thing. Dexter Lumis. I like Dexter Lumis as a character. Certainly his work in NXT. I feel comfortable putting him at C. But we've never really seen him solo. We saw him for a time being in NXT solo, but on the main roster, he's always either with The Way or he's with now the Wyatt Six. So I'll put him at C. Dion Lennox, only known for his sunglasses, or sorry, his glasses. So I really don't care for him, truthfully. But maybe that'll change. Get me invested in him. Tommaso Ciampa, B tier. His work with Johnny Gargano, which ironically enough, B tier. Love their work at NXT. They're on the main roster now. They're the tag team champions. These are another one of those guys, like the Motor City Machine Guns. When I see them on TV, I'm going to watch it. That's my jam. That's my style. Johnny Wrestling, Tommaso Ciampa. I think the best feud in NXT history. I don't care. Best feud in NXT history. Ciampa versus Gargano. Dragon Lee. Man, Dragon Lee is getting underutilized. Is that just me? Because Dragon Lee's fantastic. But since becoming a part of the LWO, I just don't feel like we see enough of him. The only times we really see him are behind Ray or as his partner. But Dragon Lee, dude, can go. I mean, I'm a fan of Dragon Lee. But again, I look at it from the standpoint of like presentation. You know what? Bump it. We're going to put him at B. I really like Dragon Lee. I want him to succeed. But it's just the way they're going about it. I don't think is the right way. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a booker. But Dragon Lee for sure. Thoughts on Jeff Jarrett? Just found out he existed. Never knew he was a wrestler. Really? Like actually, Kevin, you never heard of Jeff Jarrett? I find that very fascinating because like Jeff Jarrett, very big in Tennessee, but I mean let's take a step back and WCW champion, Intercontinental champion in the WWE. He along with Jerry Jarrett, his dad, created Total Nonstop Action, and now he's in AEW. I think he's a legend. I don't think personally. Hear me out. He's a legend, but he's not like up there personally, but his influence on the business is certainly felt. Jeff Jarrett, his best feuds, I mean, now thinking about it, Jeff Jarrett wasn't really known for his best feuds. I mean, he had his stuff against Kurt Angle, which, interesting enough, it's a quick side break here. Kurt Angle was married to Karen Angle for like years, dude. They have like kids together. Kurt Angle goes to TNA, works for Jeff Jarrett and his family, and somewhere along the line, Karen and Kurt separate. And not soon after, Karen marries Jeff Jarrett. And I never got over that because I knew she was married to Kurt. And then figuring out that, whoa, like she's with Jeff now? Like, damn. And now they have kids, I believe. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett. And the thing with AEW too is Jeff Jarrett, right I think a week before John Cena came out on Raw, so maybe 2 weeks ago on AEW, we already knew Cena was going to have his retirement tour. We already knew that. But then Jeff Jarrett now announces he's, going to go on a retirement tour himself, and he wants to win the world title. That's crazy, though, that you never heard of Jeff Jarrett. But I mean, hey, he's not everybody's cup of tea. That is crazy, though. Drew McIntyre, dude. Talk about Damian Priest and the year he had. Drew McIntyre had a great year. Easily can put him. I just realized he's the only guy. Well, you say S tier. I kind of want to agree, but I'm looking at the A tier here. I might have to make some adjustments. Oh, man, yeah. You know what, San Fran 5? I'm gonna give you a shout out. I'm gonna give him the S tier. And then everybody else here, I'm okay. I'm solid. Drew McIntyre's a star too, dude. And again, Drew McIntyre's one of those guys where it's like he's on TV, he's involved, I'm gonna watch it. I don't really know much about other wrestling promotions. WCW days are kind of blurred. Even though I wasn't born during the WWE United era, I know more about WWE than anything else. I'm with you, Kevin. And I find it so interesting interacting with you here on the live streams because I feel like you, my brother and I, we all have like similar tastes as well as like knowledge of the business. I will say predominantly we know more about WWE, obviously, because it's the big one. It's the Disney of pro wrestling, right? They own everything. But through time, I was able to dive into WCW, a little bit of ECW, TNA. So I would like to think I have a little bit of everything. But yeah, I agree with you. WWE is like the end all be all. Like the vast history. And, they say to the victor go the spoils. And for them to own every prominent pro wrestling company aside from like AEW or whoever else is left. They kind of run the narrative. Drew's always had great matches this year, and promos are lit. He has that aura. Hard to disagree. That's why, you know what? I'm going to give it to you. S tier for Drew. Duke Hudson, out for Chase U. I'll put him right next to his buddy. Oh, there we go. Idris Inafe. Again, another NXT guy. We're going to zip past some of these guys. Electra, NXT. Eric, the War Raiders. Dude, I love the War Raiders. The tag team division is a better place when you have them and DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm going to put them in B. When I first saw the War Raiders, it was in WWE. I heard of these guys, obviously, from their work in Japan and Ring of Honor, obviously known as War Machine. But upon reaching NXT and seeing how these guys moved, I like Eric, but specifically Ivar. Like, for a big boy, he can move, you know. I'll put him in the B tier. Looks like Eric Rowan from the Wyatt 6. No disrespect. Love the Wyatts. I was always a Luke Harper or a Bray Wyatt guy. But Eric Rowan's good too. Ethan Page. Hear me out here. Ethan Page was like lost in AEW and Ring of Honor. He was just another guy. But upon getting to NXT, I mean, this guy's like one of the top stars, one of the top heels. He got to interact with The Rock on NXT. Like, how many people can say that? For me personally, Ethan Page, I put him on the B tier. I think he has the personality. I think he has the look. And ring-wise, he's solid. His run with the NXT title, some people didn't like. But the way I compared it was like the JBL title reign in 2005. And that might not be a popular comparison. But JBL as the heel champion, that worked, dude. I grew up as like a smart wrestling fan where it's like, okay, I understand it's predetermined, it's scripted. And so like, oh, I have to hate this guy because he's not good. But JBL was like someone I genuinely didn't like. Because he was so good. He was so good at what he did. JBL was so good. Fallon Henley, the North American champion. I can put her towards the top of NXT. D is the NXT brand. And again, for those joining in the chat, we're doing a live tier ranking. My personal preference here on the WWE roster. D list is basically NXT people as well as others who haven't been presented as much on television. C is like your mid-card, people that have high potential, but I don't feel comfortable putting them higher. B is like a high mid-card main event status. A, obviously, you're a main eventer. You're one of the top guys or girls, because right now it's all girls. S is clear superstar. These are your big draws. These are your money people. Again, it's not the right list. It's not the correct list, but it's my list. Finn Balor. Dude. I feel like I keep saying that. Whenever like there's someone really solid, I'm like, bro, dude. But it's like Finn Balor. I'm a big fan of Finn Balor. I'm going to put him in A tier. Great matches, great aura. Obviously, with his time in Judgment Day, it's kind of limited him. But Finn Balor is one of the best of this generation. Helped with the Bullet Club. He was the founder, for God's sake. Demon Balor. What you know about Demon Balor? Do you guys remember Demon Balor in NXT and like his early run in the main roster? That presentation, he was undefeated for like the longest. I forget who broke his record. Was it Roman or was it... I don't recall who had ended his streak. Was it Samoa Joe? Regardless, Finn Balor, man, doesn't get enough credit. And I desperately need him to win the world title. He held the Universal title in 2016 for less than a day. And since then, he hasn't had a championship reign. I thought he was going to win it in 2023 when he was feuding with Seth Rollins, but that didn't come to fruition. I desperately need to see Finn Balor as the champion, dude. We're going to start to speed run here a little bit. I think it was Lesnar that broke it. That broke Finn Balor? I don't think so. Because if it was Lesnar, I would have remembered that because Lesnar was beating everybody. Why do I feel like it was Samoa Joe? Regardless. Gigi Dolan, NXT. I like Gigi Dolan. I almost want to put her with Cora Jade, but I need to see a little bit more. Giovanni Vinci, D. Sorry, Giovanni. And dude, what did they do with Giovanni? They had him like lose in a basically a squash match. Why they even break it up? I don't get that, honestly. Why they broke up Imperium and broke up him and Kaiser. Kaiser's great, by the way, but they did nothing for Vinci. He's had 2 matches since. They might as well just release him. Julia. Big fan of Julia. Big fan of Julia. She's the NXT Women's Champion now. I feel comfortable putting her in the B tier. I'm just going to drop her in the middle. I know based off her work in Japan, she should be higher, but I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I haven't seen a lot of her matches in Japan. I've seen a good chunk of them. I'm confident putting her in the B tier. Plus, I would love to see her move up. Grayson Waller. I think Grayson Waller is a great heel. Here's a guy like The Miz who should never turn babyface. Let's just drop him here. Gunther. Ooh. I know where I want to put him. I want to hear from San Fran 5 real quick. Where do you think I'm going to put Gunther? Or where do you want to put Gunther? Because I know where I want to put him. But Gunther's the world champion. Had a reign of Intercontinental Championship 666 days. Putting on banger after banger. With guys like Drew McIntyre. With guys like Chad Gable. Sami Zayn. Cody. Gunther's one of the best. I'd put him at S, but I feel like you put him at... You're right. You said you would put him at S, but you thought I would put him at A. I'm putting him at S. Gunther is like the top heel. Gunther's one of those guys where no matter on the card, I'm going to watch a Gunther matchup. There's some matches where it's like, okay, they're fighting, and yeah, you're invested. But you might be on your phone checking a text. You might be on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. You're watching SmackDown and you might get distracted and you might start watching some episodes of the J Area podcast. Whatever it is you watch on YouTube. Hopefully that. But when it's like a Gunther matchup, I'm putting my phone down. And then I see a guy like Hank or Tank, whichever one from NXT. D. Hank and Tank, I'm going to tell you right now. I told you I'm very positive. I try not to be negative. Hank and Tank, I don't get. I don't get them in NXT. Do you guys remember Heavy Machinery? When it was Otis and Tucker? I never got it. I'm not a fan. Hank and Tank is a ripoff of Otis and Tucker. No, I'm not a fan, personally. Otis, though, whenever he left and became a part of the Alpha Academy, I thought that was funny. I enjoyed that. But aside from that, Otis, for me, hadn't gotten over until the whole Alpha Academy breakup. Even the stuff with Mandy Rose, I was like, okay. Humberto Carrillo, I'm going to put him right next to his cousin, Angel Garza, if I can find him. Ilya Dragunov. Dude, the fact that Ilya's hurt and we're going to miss him for a minute, I think he's going to miss WrestleMania. Oh, it sucks. But I love Ilya. Same here. It's always good to stay positive. When you stay negative, it doesn't feel right. I get that, Muhammad. I get that. I try to be very positive. But if there's something I don't like, I'm going to tell you. Do you think the body transformation of Gunther was necessary for this kind of push or presentation? In an ideal world, no. I don't think it was necessary. Now, with that being said, though, Gunther, I think slimmed down for 2 reasons. 1, obviously for presentation. You want to look great as the world champion. 2, probably for health. Since that transformation, though, Gunther got up, elevated to an upper level. Whether it was a coincidence or not. Walter was great. But Gunther, the physical transformation is applauding, man. Super applaud that. Was it necessary? Maybe not. But I do think it was super beneficial. Whenever a tag team breaks up, there's always a Shawn and a Jannetty. It's true. Very true. And Otis and Tucker. Who would have thought Otis would have been the Shawn? Ilya Dragunov. I'm going to put him in the same level as like a Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. Big fan of his work. Up next, we have Kendall Gray, who, ironically enough, I had to write her name down because I didn't recognize her. Same with Lainey Reed. Don't recognize them. No disrespect. Isla Dawn. I'm going to put her next to Kaylee Ray, a.k.a. Alba Fire. Nothing much to write home about. Some of these I'm going to kind of go through. We're running on like an hour here, and I'm barely about to hit Ivar. Ivar I'm going to put with Eric. Oh, doesn't want to go. There we go. Dude, a specimen. Like, the way that he moves, dude, for like a man of his size, ridiculous. Speaking of Gunther, him and Randy Orton had a controversial matchup at King of the Ring back in June of last year. I mean, I don't know if I would use controversial. The finish was botched. I think that was evident. We knew Gunther was supposed to win. They didn't get the pin. They didn't get the shoulders down 100%, but they cleaned it up, and they had a good explanation. They said, "Hey, we're going to revisit it," and how they do it. Gunther cashes in his King of the Ring matchup and wins the world title, and defends it against Randy in a great match. I think it worked out pretty well. I think everything worked out well. Ivy Nile, who's of course associated with the American Made team, I'm gonna just drop her in D. I need to see more. They don't really do much with her. Now we're talking. Dude. There's me saying dude again. Io Sky. You guys, because you guys are consistently here, you're a part of the live streams, you're a part of the J Area podcast, you guys should know how highly I think of Io. Io's my favorite women's wrestler. Anytime I see her, I need to watch the match. Fantastic. One of the best. But I don't want to be biased. She's going to be A. Minimum. But now I'm like, do I put her in S? I think I'm going to make some changes here. I'm going to put Io in S. But with that being said, I'm going to move Bianca in S because I do really like Bianca's work. I think we'll leave it there for now. They just need to have extra referees, and Ivy Nile is so damn fine. Well, we know your taste, Muhammad. Extra referee, I don't know. What I've always thought was funny when it came to referees, it's like the replays are up on the Tron. So they could always just go instant replay, but then they say, hey, all decisions are final. It's a tricky slope. I think it worked out fine. If that stuff happens, as long as you give me an explanation and we revisit the matchup, it's fine. I'm afraid when Street Profits break up because I feel like we all know Angelo Dawkins is going to be... Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like, I like Angelo Dawkins. I really enjoy his work with Montez, but Montez, dude, I hate to say it, but this tag team's holding him back. Montez Ford is good, entertaining as hell on the microphone. Physically gifted. He has star written all over him. They're going to have to break up the Profits, or they can just go the New Day route. And when Big E won the championship, they all kind of separated. They didn't break up, but they just kind of separated. But Montez, dude, is going to be a star. Jacob, you're going to be a star. Jacob fought too. I'm putting B. I don't want to put him too high because he's very limited still in terms of what we've seen in the WWE. But Jacob fought too, and the impact that he's already made. And he's only had one singles matchup, and that was against Jey Uso. Jacob fought too. I think he's going to win a world title. I really think he's going to win the world title one day. JC Jane, NXT. Right next to her old friend, Gigi Dolan. Jade Cargill. I like Jade. I think she's going to be great. Hopefully she comes back better than ever. But it's a lot of potential there. Put her at C. Jada Parker. Jada Parker, again, is like Cora Jade, where it's like, I think very highly of them. And Jada Parker's a star. I can't wait to see what she has in store for the main roster. Aside from this, do you see Jericho TV from Ring of Honor earlier tonight? And what is more likely to return, Shane McMahon or Stephanie McMahon? I keep up with Ring of Honor through like the reports and like Twitter and the clips. I don't watch Ring of Honor TV. I don't have the Honor Club. I don't watch Ring of Honor. And then what is more like, but that's not to say I don't care for it. I do care for it. It's just respectfully, I'm not going to pay the Honor Club subscription for that. Especially because AEW, they just show a lot of the Ring of Honor stars on AEW TV. So it's like, I don't know. But, yeah. What's more likely, Shane or Stephanie McMahon to return to wrestling? Probably Shane. Stephanie, we only see her in the crowd. So I don't know if you count that. Stephanie's going to be in the crowd. I think we're more likely to see Shane as a character. Feel like when Dom is ready to leave Judgment Day and have Eddie Guerrero Latino Heat gimmick, Dom is a young Eddie. After all, that is his son. Dude, Dominic. Where's Dominic on this list? Oh, I see Dominic. When we get to Dominic, I have a lot to say about him. Jakara Jackson. I'm going to put her in NXT. I like Jakara Jackson, but still early. Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey. Is it? No, it's Javier. Oh, it's Javier. Oh, okay, my fault. I think that's Javier Bernal. Big Body Javi, if you guys remember. NXT. D. Jasmine. Okay. Jasmine's, again, another one who I'm going to put in the NXT pile. Need to see more of her. I wouldn't mind seeing more of her, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. Javon Evans. Okay. Javon Evans may be an NXT guy, but we're putting him in the C tier. This guy is going to be good. You know, Javon Evans, man, is going to be a star. I really think that if booked right, he could be like Jeff Hardy. I really think that if booked correctly, he can be Jeff Hardy. Jey Uso, I'm putting it A tier. There's going to be people who have complaints about that. I love Jey Uso. This guy is a star. Super over. Great entrance. Great connection with the crowd. Entertaining as hell. And I also am going to put Jimmy there for the same reason. Love the Usos. I think they're one of, if not the best tag team the WWE has ever had. Granted, they didn't have the best matchup at WrestleMania 40, but I think very highly of the Usos. If Eddie Guerrero was still alive, I would love for him to be feud with Dirty Dom and Finn Balor. Dude, Eddie Guerrero with anybody. Eddie Guerrero with anybody would be magic, but against Finn, I would love it. Against Dom, wow, that'd be great too. Kevin says these Samoans different. Facts, dude. Like Jacob, the Usos, Roman, The Rock, Yoko, Rikishi. What the hell are they feeding these guys? All just fantastic, phenomenal. LW especially. It'd be cool though, because Eddie Guerrero was the founder of the LWO, so that would be kind of cool. Speaking of LWO, Joaquin Wilde, I'm going to put him right next to Cruz del Toro. Where did I put him? He's somewhere in the D. There he is. I like them, but not enough to put him above. Joe Coffey with, we talked about it, Gallus. Nothing personal. It's just NXT. It's a lot of NXT guys. Joe Gacy, I actually would put him in C. I like Joe Gacy. I like the Schism gimmick. I'm a big fan of the Wyatt Six, which ironically enough, we now have 2 members in the C, but not enough to go any higher. Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs had a great matchup at Stand and Deliver. That triple threat match with Dijak and Obafemi. I feel I could put him in C. Julius Creed, right next to his brother. Super potential. Katana Chance. She's cool, but you know, Kairi Sane. I like Kairi Sane. I'll put her in the B tier. The insane elbow. The way she does it, beautiful. Love Kairi Sane. We love Kairi here. Carl Anderson. Dude, Carl Anderson. doesn't get enough love. I mean, because his work in the Bullet Club was great, but ever since joining the WWE, he's been relegated, and I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him in a high C, like the Juice. Eddie Thorpe. I actually like Eddie Thorpe. I'm gonna put him at C. We're gonna start to kind of flip through a little bit here. Carmen Petrovic. Easy on the eyes, easy in the ring. I'm a fan of Carmen Petrovic. I'm gonna put her. I'm gonna put her a high D, because again, I don't want to put her too high on C because I don't think she's on the same level personally as people like Cora Jade and Jada Parker, who I think are fantastic. Karrion Kross. I'm a fan of Karrion. His stuff in NXT, I'm just going to drop him here in B. His stuff in NXT with the championship, awesome. I love the shaved head look, but even now with this kind of interesting take on the character where no matter what he touches, it burns to the ground. I mean, we've seen people like Drew McIntyre turn heel, Ray turn. I mean, he had reason, but his whole issue with Dominic began. The breakup of the bloodline. We saw how he was with Chad Gable, and then the New Day. Everything he touches dies. Karrion Kross, man. I want big things for him. I hope for many success. Kaden Carter, I'm going to drop her right next to Chance. Kalani Jordan. Love Kalani Jordan. I'm going to put her with her fellow NXT stars here. Cora Jade and Jada Parker. Big stuff for them ahead. Kevin Owens. I'm going to put Kevin Owens at A. Big fan of Kevin Owens. In ring-wise, promo-wise, he's on the best run of his career right now. Hard for me to not put him on S, but I'm going to put him at A. I don't want to have too many people on S. Kofi Kingston. Big fan of Kofi. The question is, do I put him in B or A? I'm going to put him at high B. LA Knight, yeah. Big fan of LA Knight. I'll also put him at high B. Can go in the ring as a brawler. Can go on the mic as like a retro throwback to the old school. What can I say about LA Knight? You guys know I'm a fan. I believe that's Lash Legend. Lash Legend's another one I'm going to put over here with the NXT ladies. I think very highly of Lash Legend. I think she has all the potential in the world. Lexis King, NXT. Love his dad, though. Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's a star. Liv Morgan I'm going to put up here as well. Loved Liv Morgan's work. Had a great year in 2024. Hopefully an even better 2025 is around the horizon for her. Logan Paul. Say what you will about Logan Paul. Whether you like him or not. In ring-wise, I think he's been fantastic. I'm going to put him at C. Which kind of sucks for people like Carl Anderson, who have been, busting their tail for many years. But I do think Logan Paul really translated pretty well to the WWE. Lola Vice. I'm going to put her in C with her other NXT women there. I mean, I think they're great. They have the deepest roster in pro wrestling. We have Luca Crucifino from the D'Angelo family. Need to see more. Need to see more from him. Who is that? Oh, Lucian Price from OTM. Same thing as the other OTM member. Just don't see enough. Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser's great. Good heel. Solid in the ring. Can't wait to see him succeed. Want to see him contend for some single gold. But I do think Kaiser, I do think highly of him. I'll put him at B. Lyra Valkyria. She's great. I think she's going to be the new Intercontinental Champion for the women's division. I really do. Her work in NXT was stellar against Roxanne Perez. Good match against Becky Lynch. Stuff against Tiffany Stratton. I think very highly of her. I hope to see her succeed in the WWE as well. Malik Blade. NXT. Maxine Dupree. I'm a fan of Maxine. But not enough to put her above. Mark Coffey. Put him next to his brother. Now we're talking. Okay. Because we're kind of flying by there. But Montez Ford, I'm putting him in B. Sorry, Angelo. He's stuck in C. But Montez Ford is going to be a star, dude. Like, this guy gets it. Can go in the ring, can go on the mic. I personally think he's getting held back in Street Profits. I love the Street Profits, but he's going to be a single star. But they can't wait too long. Has the charisma, has everything going for him. Push him to the moon. Miles Bourne, NXT. Dominic. I'll put Dominic at B. He's still improving in the ring, but just his work, his improvement, you can't deny it. Dominic's going to be a future world champion. I'm calling it right now. He's going to be a future world champion. And dare I say, a lot of times the best heels can become pretty damn good baby faces. I would like to see him as a baby face. Maybe not like clean cut baby face, but one with a little bit of an edge. I think Dominic is a star. Like he's a star now, but he's gonna become an even bigger star, I think. Dominic Mysterio, dude. Naomi. Love Naomi. Trinity, Naomi, the Funkadactyl, whatever you want to call her. Stellar. Absolute stellar, but I don't feel like she gets enough love. Same thing with Natalya. I'll put Natalya there as well. Hall of Famers, certainly. Last member of the Hart Foundation or the Hart Dungeon, no? I think obviously the only female graduate from the Hart Dungeon. Nathan Fraser, I'm going to put right next to his buddy. Where is he? Axiom. Love their work in NXT. Nia Jax, I'm going to keep her in C as well. I thought she had a great 2024. Certainly showed a lot of improvement. You know, she was known as that girl who was getting a lot of people injured, but a great 2024. Solid matchup. I really enjoyed it. Nikki Cross, she's going to go right next to her friends in Tier C. Nikita Lyons. I don't get it. I really don't. So I'm not even putting her here because she's NXT. I'm putting her in D because I don't get it. Is it because she's thick? I'll be honest with you. Because if that's it, I don't see it. I really don't. I want to like her. I want to give her a chance. But I think she's blown out her ACL twice. And that's not good at all when you're in developmental. Aside from that, I really don't see it. Wish her the best, but I don't see it. I don't even know who this is. I wrote it down. His name is Nico Vance. I have never seen this man in my life. Noam Dar. Noam Dar with Metaphor. One of the best products to come out of the NXT UK brand. Shout out to him. We have Miko Satomura. Truthfully, I'm not familiar with her game. So because of that reason, I'm not going to act like a know-it-all. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not familiar with her game. Next up, Oba Femi. Oba Femi. Good God. This man recently won the NXT Championship. Was the longest reigning North American champion. Is a beast. The ruler of NXT. And this is only within what? A year and a half? In NXT? He's improving so fast. His connection with the crowd. It doesn't matter that he's a heel. We love Obafemi. A lot of potential, so I don't want to put him too high. High C. Maybe even a borderline low B. Obafemi, though, dude. Big fan of his. Ora Mensa. Had a good little run against Ethan Page, but no. I'm not even going to put him there. I'm going to put him towards the middle. Oh, I don't want to separate Chase U. Otis. I'll put Otis at a C. Entertaining, but I'll put him next to Nia Jax, but nothing to write home about. I wasn't a fan of the Money in the Bank win. I really don't get why they did that. I personally thought that was a waste. I thought they were going to give it to a guy like AJ Styles. Hell, you could have even gave Baron Corbin a better run at it. I don't get it. His stuff with Mandy Rose was entertaining. I will say that. I thought it was fun. But Otis is not... It sucks to say this. Otis isn't a star. He's a good comedy act. He's a good muscle man. But Not my style. Not my cup of tea. But you want to know what my cup of tea is? Pentagon Jr. Pentagon. I'm putting him a high B. Can I get him? Okay, we're just going to put him here. Pentagon, dude. We haven't even seen him yet. But if you guys have seen his work in TNA, in AEW, in Mexico, dude, Pentagon, dude, he's gonna be the guy to face off against Chad Gable. Who else is it gonna be? A star, zero fear, a star. Pete Dunne, another guy. Pete Dunne. I think we're gonna start loading up our B's now because I see a lot of people coming up. I told you guys I was researching for this because there were some people I didn't recognize. This next one, I genuinely don't know who the hell this is. I looked up the roster, couldn't find her picture. So, sorry Jane Doe, but I don't know who you are. Piper Niven, it's nothing personal. I just, I don't see it. Pretty Deadly, Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, entertaining. I like to see them on TV. I think they're fun together. They play the characters right. And what I love about them too is they go all in. In order to be successful, you got to go all in. You can't half-ass it. And they don't. I might have to minimize my screen here for a little bit because we're running out of room. There we go. Oh, dude. Randy Orton. Hall of Famer. Legend. The Legend Killer. The GOAT. A 14-time champion. Intercontinental champion. U.S. champion. Tag champion. Rumble winner. Money in the Bank. Hall of Famer. There's no disagreements. There's nothing to discuss. S tier. Raquel Rodriguez. I never was a fan. But I can put her at C. But I was never a fan. Razor. I'm going to put him next to Akam. If I can remember where I put Akam. There he is. See previous answer for my reasoning. Ray, dude. S tier. Legend. Hall of Famer. Same reasons I gave for Randy. Rhea Ripley, dude. I'm telling you, where's she? Oh no, where'd she go? We lost Rhea. There she is. S tier. Superstar. These are people in the S tier. I see them on TV. I'm dropping what I'm doing. I'm going to watch them. Rhea Ripley, S tier. Ridge Holland. Hey, some people hate Ridge Holland. I actually like this heel run. I think it's a good look for him. I think it works for him. His stuff against Trick Williams, I'm a fan of. Hear me out. I'll put him at C. A lot of the NXT roster is in D because I just don't think they've achieved enough, or I just don't have that level of investment yet. But Ridge Holland, low-key intrigued. Riley Osborne, put him next to Chase U. R-Truth, hear me out. I'm putting R-Truth, hear me out. I'm going to put him in A. Hear me out. He's a former he's a former NWA World Champion. For me, he's one of the funniest wrestlers of all time. He can go. It's just we don't see him because he's a comedic wrestler. But R-Truth is one of those guys where if I were to take a new fan who's never watched pro wrestling, I am willing to bet you they will have some sort of impression of R-Truth. And he will leave an impression. He's going to be one of those guys that you remember. R-Truth, Hall of Famer. Can go in the ring. Has won, won the NWA World Championship. Has won the U.S. Championship. Tag Champion. Hardcore Champion. Hall of Famer. Yeah, I'm going to put him in the A tier. And if you guys don't like it, I'm sorry. But I really like... I don't know why. Why is Robert Roode here? I'll put Robert Roode in the B tier. I liked Robert Roode. He was cool. Roman, D. Did you really think I was going to put him in D? Jesus, put him all the way on the top over here. Right behind Cena. Roman Reigns, got to acknowledge the OTC. Super happy for him because he took a gimmick that was DOA because they just shoved him down the audience's throat. They didn't want us to boo him. Dude, they changed his... Do you remember when they changed his contacts? And it made him blue-eyed? Because they wanted him to be a pure baby face? Why? Why did you make him wear contacts? Stupid. Ridiculous. But then the Tribal Chief era kicked in. And what a star. Like, Roman Reigns has solidified himself as one of the greatest of all time. A Mount Rushmore wrestler. And helped, navigate the dark times because, hey, between like 2018 and 2020, dark times. But Roman Reigns, man, helped navigate it just like Cena. The Miz? I think that's The Miz. Is it? No, who is that? Hold on. We're going to zoom in on that real quick in real time. I don't know who that is. Is that Dante Chen again? Why the hell is Dante Chen in there twice? Why is Dante Chen there twice? Just for that, D. Roxanne Perez. One of the few instances an NXT star is going to go right to the B. Love Roxanne Perez work. Love her work. Can't wait for her to make the main roster. She recently lost the title to Julia. So will we be seeing her go up to the main roster? I think she's probably going to be in the Rumble. I really do think she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. But is she going to stay? Because I think we still have matches on the card for her to have against Zarya, Stephanie Vaquer. I would think she's probably going to show up after WrestleMania. I think. Sammy. I love Sammy, bro. We're going to put him next to Kevin. One of the best baby faces, dude. I get a sense of joy when I see Sammy on the TV. I hear his theme music. I see him in the ring. Genuinely, I care for Sami Zayn. I want to see him win the World Championship one day. I would love to see that. Hopefully one day. Imagine him and Jey Uso winning the world titles. And have a moment like Benoit and Eddie at the end of WrestleMania 20. Because Jey and Sammy have like this bond ever since the Bloodline. Where Jey didn't trust Sammy and Sammy was trying to earn his trust. And to see those two come together as world champions, that'd be poetic as hell. I would love to see that. And then you can obviously dive into an Owens and Sami Zayn feud for the world title. Santos Escobar, I'm a fan, but I'm going to put him around high C. Scarlett, we don't really see her much in the ring, but she's with Karrion Kross, and I like Karrion. Seth Rollins, that's an S tier, easily. He was one of the MVPs of WrestleMania 40 just because of his performance. One of the best of his era. One of the best of all time. Shout out to Chris Van Vliet as well. If you guys listen to Chris Van Vliet recently had an episode on his podcast where he interviewed Seth Rollins. Check that out. It's worth the listen. You get a real in-depth look into Seth Rollins and how he thinks and how he prepares as a character. He talks about his feud with Punk, his friendships that he's formed over his career, the aftermath of the Shield breakup. Quick plug for CVV's podcast. Chris Van Vliet, Seth Rollins, it's Insight, the name of the podcast. I really recommend that. Sean Spears, I'll put him at C. No disrespect. Shayna Baszler, likewise. Shinsuke, I like... What the heck? Okay, Shinsuke, I was going to put it B. I'm a fan of Shinsuke. I preferred his stuff in NXT, but he's one of the best. Next we have Shotzi. I like Shotzi. I think she's great. Not a good promo. Not a good promo, I will say, but she's great. Solo, I'll put him at B. Solo has really grown on me. His stuff in NXT I thought was great, but upon the bloodline as the enforcer was entertaining, has certainly grown in 2024, and will only continue to grow. So Ruka, put her in a low C. I think she's fantastic as well. Sonya Deville. I was never a Sonya Deville fan, no disrespect. Stephanie Vaquer, dude, put her with Julia and Roxanne. Stellar. Superstar. Can go in the ring. Her matchup against Mercedes at Forbidden Door was one of the best women's wrestling matches I've ever seen. And she has this presentation, and I'm not going to lie to you, she has a great look. Not going to lie to you. But just in the ring as well. She's great. Fantastic in the ring. Stevie Turner. I don't really see it. Also because she's more of like an on-air authority figure, I guess. Okay, I already see Tank. I'm putting him at the very bottom. I don't care for Hank and Tank. You guys already know. I talked about it. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. I don't like Hank and Tank. It's nothing personal, but it gets to the point where it might become personal. Tama Tonga. Like the Gorillas of Destiny. I'll put him at high C. And because I see him, Tongaloa, I'm actually going to put at high C as well. Tatum Paxley. I'm just going to throw her there with the NXT girls. They really do have the deepest roster. They really do have a great roster of women there. Super talented. Tavion Heights, NXT. Thea Hale, I'm going to put her right next to Chase U. There's The Miz. The Miz, I'm going to put him up here with Kofi because I put them in the same boat. The Miz and Kofi are going to be Hall of Famers, former world champions, reliable, just people you can depend on. I think The Miz is one of the best heels of the last 20 years. I don't think he should be babyface. I've always said he should be a guy who just stays heel. The Miz is going to go down as one of the best of all time because of his body of work, his consistency, his dedication, and his growth, for sure. Love The Miz. Tiffany Stratton, I'm going to throw her all the way up there as well with her other NXT members, Julia, Roxanne, and Stephanie. Recently won the Women's Championship. Big congrats to Tiffy time. Tony D'Angelo, I'm going to put him high D. Akira Tozawa, this is only because of my personal preference. I love Akira, man. I want to see this man succeed. I want to see him happy. Trick Willie. Jesus, stop pushing the second bottom. Okay. Just because we've seen a lot of growth, I'm going to keep him at the C tier. I think by the end of his career, his ceiling could be A tier. I think we will see him B tier, but for the time being, it's still early in his career. He still has room to grow. I'll put him at C tier. Tyler Bate. I'm a fan of Tyler Bate ever since his NXT days. Putting him there. Next up, Tyreek, I'm going to put him down here. NXT guy. Tyson Dupree, put him at the... Uncle Howdy. And Bo Dallas. I'm going to put him in B tier. Bo Dallas as a heel in NXT, I thought was great. I enjoyed his stuff with the Social Outcast. I thought he was funny. I would have loved to see his interaction with Bray Wyatt during this time in their careers. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Well, we won't get to see that. But very hopeful for this new run as Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six, holding out a lot of hope, and wish him the best. And I don't want to make it seem like it's a sentimental thing, like, oh, let's put him in B. No, I do like Uncle Howdy. I do like the spooky gimmick, and I'm a fan of the rotundas. So I want to see them succeed. Valhalla, we don't really see much of her. D. Winnie Chu, likewise. Wesley, I love Wesley, actually. I think he's great. He was my favorite member of the Rascals, my favorite member of MSK. I like him as a babyface, but as a heel, I don't hate it either. I don't hate it either. In the rare case of an NXT star being up to B. Wolfgang, we're going to put him right next to the Coffee Brothers. Keep Gallus together. Ren Sinclair. I like Ren Sinclair. But again, NXT, I need to see a little bit more. Xavier. I'm going to bump Xavier up next to Kofi. Again, they're one of the best tag teams ever. He is super underrated in terms of what he's done for the WWE as a part of one of the greatest, if not the greatest trio of all time. Can go in the ring, highly intellectual. Putting him with Kofi there. Yoshiki, Inamura. I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot. D, NXT. Zarya. I'm going to put Zarya at C. Want to see a little bit more, but I feel very comfortable that she'll be going up on the list. Zelina Vega. I'm going to put Zelina Vega also in C. I want to see her succeed. I don't feel like we see enough of Zelina. She can go. If you've seen her stuff with Andrade, they had mixed tag matches. She's athletic. She has the look again. I'm a big fan of Zelina. I want to see her succeed, but we don't see enough of her. Zoe Stark. Likewise, I'm a fan of Zoe Stark. I'm going to keep her at the same level here in the Z. And finally, for some reason, as we've reached the bottom, 96 minutes in, The Rock. Is there really anywhere else to put him? We'll just put him there. The final boss, a certified GOAT. And to think about, at the height of his career, he was only at the WWE for 6 years. Debuted in 96, and then left in 2002 for Hollywood. And to think about the level of impact that he left on that business, it's crazy. So here on our S tier, I'm going to take myself off the screen real quick. So here on the S tier, The Rock, John Cena, Roman, Punk, Lesnar, AJ, Cody, Drew, Gunther, Io, Bianca, Randy, Ray, Seth, Rhea. Very comfortable here. I don't feel like I'm moving anybody off of this list. This is good for me personally. I have Asuka, Bayley, Becky, Charlotte, Liv, Finn, Jay, Jimmy, Sammy, Kevin, R-Truth. Likewise, I don't see myself moving anybody off of this list. I think this is really good. Again, it's not the 100% correct list, but it is my list. So if you have any disputes or any agreements or disagreements, please let us know in the chat on where you guys would put certain people. And as well, share who are some of your favorites. Who are some of your favorite wrestlers today on the roster? At B, I have a who's who. Kofi, Xavier, The Miz, Pentagon, Jacob, LA Knight, yeah. Sheamus, Damian, Gable, Cross, the Motor City Machine Guns, Andrade, Tiffany, Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne. That 4 group of women, fantastic. Mello, Ilya, and Braun Breaker, a great trio for the future. DIY, which Kairi Sane in the middle. Solo, Dragon Lee, the Viking Raiders, Ethan Page, Kaiser, Valkyria, Montez Ford, Dom, Naomi, Natalia, Pete Dunne, Mr. Bobby Roode, Nakamura, Tyler Bate, Uncle Howdy, Wesley. I'm not going to go too into detail with all these. You guys can see them. These are our C tier. A lot of people from NXT with up and coming potential, as well as some main roster people who I just think don't have a lot of presentation. D, which is basically for our members of the NXT roster. A lot of newbies, a lot of people. You can see towards the end here, there are some people where I didn't even recognize them, so you know what? We just tossed them at the bottom. Again, nothing personal. That's just my list. I'm going to give one more good look here at the tier rankings. If you guys agree, whoops. A little bit of technical difficulties, but you guys got to see a little sneak peek behind the scenes. One one last good look at the tier rankings here, as I'm going to take them off the screen here for a moment. Again, anyone who has any notes, any opinions, go ahead and voice them down into the chat. I think for me personally, for my taste, we're going to leave it at this. It doesn't really change. I'm very comfortable, very confident in this list. And moving forward, we'll see where it goes. If you guys haven't already, make sure you give the video and the live stream a thumbs up if you enjoyed the tier ranking. Comment down below, as I mentioned, some of your personal preferences on who you think are the best in WWE. At this point, I mean, I was going to go for 2 hours, but we're done with 20 minutes to spare. So I think I'm just going to leave it open at this point if you guys just want to chat and hang out. Kevin, appreciate you. Kevin says, I love the list, bro. See you next time. Hey, I mean, like I said, I was going to go for 2 hours, so there's some time to spare here if you guys just want to hang out and just talk about wrestling or talk about whatever the case. I'm leaving it up here for the time being. I'm going to take it down in like a minute or two just to leave it up for anybody who wants to take a look at it, who are just joining us. We're doing a live stream talking about pro wrestling tier ranking, the WWE roster. Kind of gave me a chance to share my personal preferences, in terms of my favorite wrestlers. Kind of just giving an overview as what the roster looks like, the stars of today and the stars of tomorrow, all ranked up. Again, it's not the right list. I'll continue to repeat it. It's just my personal preference. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed that live stream look at the tier rankings. What are your thoughts on Samoa Joe utilization in WWE? We knew. I've mentioned before, like in TNA, I had watched the product from like 2007 to 2009. So I got to see Samoa Joe in TNA. And I got it immediately. I'm like, this guy's cool. He has the confidence. This guy's a tough son of a gun. And when we heard that he was leaving TNA, I thought he was going to be a lifer. I thought he was going to be with TNA forever. But that wasn't the case. Comes to NXT, wins the NXT championship. Immediately, I'm like, cool. We're doing something with him. This is great. Moves to the main roster. And they didn't really capitalize on it. I believe it was Great Balls of Fire. He had the matchup against Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. They should have pulled the trigger. You were already pushing him strong as a guy that could go up against Brock Lesnar, and they just didn't pull the trigger. I wish they would have. His lack of utilization is really, it's sad. It's disappointing. Because Samoa Joe is one of the best of this generation. He comes from the same cloth of like a guy like CM Punk, like a Bryan Danielson, like a Nigel McGuinness, Claudio. Like that era of Ring of Honor, that era of indie wrestlers, that's my jam. Love to see those guys go. And for them not to capitalize that and pull the trigger. You could even argue when he had his feud with AJ Styles in 2018. I think it was 2018. You could have pulled the trigger there. They didn't. I don't know why. And then, do you guys remember? He even had some time on the commentary table. I don't recall. Was he injured? Because this was like in the Thunderdome era, so everything's kind of blurry there. But they had him on commentary. And Samoa Joe is one of the best. I think he could have been a champion during the Thunderdome era as well. He goes to AEW, immediately is treated like a star, pushed to the moon, wins the world championship by beating MJF. It didn't even take him that long. Like, of course he's going to be the world champion. So I don't know why WWE didn't pull the trigger there. If you didn't want him to win the WWE title for whatever freak reason, they had the Universal title and he was already in contention against Brock. Just pull the trigger. Reward him. He's one of the best in this generation. So Samoa Joe, I thought, wasn't utilized well. He was treated as like someone that was good when he certainly could have been great. And another guy I look at, hear me out, that was like similar, Taz. Taz in ECW was a beast, a suplex machine, threatening. His feud with Sabu alone helped elevate ECW as a promotion. He had a great showing against Kurt Angle in his debut at the Royal Rumble 2000. But then aside from that, what they do with him? A great debut. I love that debut. He got a crazy pop at MSG. But after that, it's like, what they do with Taz? Hardcore division, which I guess makes sense. But I don't know. I thought they dropped the ball with Taz. And some people make the argument, well, he's undersized. So is Ray. Rey Mysterio's undersized, and he's one of the greatest of all time. I will say, though, when Taz made the transition to commentary, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Him and Michael Cole, during the Ruthless Aggression era of SmackDown, I loved it. Taz still, even with AEW, I love his stuff on commentary. I think he's one of the funniest guys there are. But in terms of in-ring, underutilized. So today's live stream, I want to do something different. I know we did like a tier ranking previously for all the premium live events in 2024. So again, I thought this would be a cool chance to kind of share my preferences and who I like as a fan. I'd like to hear from you guys if you guys enjoy the tier ranking videos. This one was a little bit lengthy. I will admit there was a lot of superstars, dude. And what other ideas to do for live streams, I leave it up to you guys. I have my ideas, but I like getting the feedback and seeing something you're interested in. I thought Sunday we had a pretty good turnout when it came to the 2K24 gameplay. It was just an opportunity to hang out and talk wrestling, but also just give you guys something more of a visual. Because I don't know about you, but I kind of get tired of seeing my face on the screen. So that was cool. I thought we had a great turnout, a lot of activity in the chat. And then on Monday, we had the live reaction following Monday Night Raw, which was, I thought, a fun episode of Raw, a debut on Netflix. And then we had the appearance by San Fran 5 in the stream. And again, another good turnout. People were active in the chat. It was very receptive in terms of his appearance, and we've already started working out kind of a little schedule as to how we want to incorporate him on these live streams and on future content. It's something I'm looking forward to, and I hope you guys are looking forward to as much as I am. So when it comes to these live streams, I do plan on keeping the whole Sunday, Monday, Thursday schedule. On occasion, maybe we'll add one, every now and then. For example, if there's like a premium live event on a Saturday, obviously I'm going to want to share my thoughts and my feelings after the show. But for sure, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, you can count on those days to be where we have our live streams. I do want to incorporate more live streams also for our exclusive members. So if you are on the live stream right now and have already joined the Main Event Mafia, the main event membership here on YouTube, I do plan on doing more live streams, also giving you guys an exclusive live stream, but I'm kind of waiting a little bit, maybe a week or two, until we can get more people signed up. That way it's as many people as we can get. With those live streams, I kind of want to give more of a one-on-one conversation with the people who have joined, and also kind of use it as an opportunity to almost have like a mini meeting, because I really do value your guys' input and your opinion on the progress of the channel, as well as what you want to see. So that's why I've always said, when it comes to the memberships, you're going to get exclusive content like early access to videos that I upload, as well as exclusive videos, exclusive shorts, more of a personalized experience when it comes to the channel. You're going to get more behind the scenes stuff, as well as updates from me and my crazy life, as well as an opportunity to help dictate the future ideas, the future uploads here on YouTube. It gives you guys more of a personalized take on it. So for those who have already signed up and have joined the membership, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you're considering joining as a member here, The link is going to be in the descriptions of every video here in 2025, because that's when we were able to successfully have memberships added. It'll be in the description of the videos. It is also in the About Me section of the YouTube channel itself. You can find those. It's going to say to join the membership, or join the Main Event Mafia, something along those lines. It'll say join for exclusive perks. Please consider doing that so you guys can get more exclusive content and become even more in control than other members of those who are subscribed. We are doing great. I want to kind of give you guys a quick update here as we kind of unwind the live stream. We had a great 2024. I talk about the pivot. In March is when we made the switch to strictly pro wrestling, and it's been very, very welcoming, having a lot of viewers consistently here, people that I consider friends, people like Kevin, Muhammad, San Fran 5, Mama Ramos, Sylvia, Gabs, Alex, Tyler. I know I'm Hector, Sam. There's a lot of people that I'm forgetting right now, but those are just the ones that immediately come to mind because you guys constantly show up, and I appreciate that. And it's in large part thanks to you guys that we were able to build up to where we are in terms of subs. I mean, I've told the story before making the switch to pro wrestling, we were at like 149, and now at the beginning of 2025 we're here at like 2.3k, and that growth is astronomical for me. I know there's other channels there who are like big, obviously they're in the millions and millions, but I'm super proud of the year we had in 2024. To see that level of growth. And it wasn't like it was out of nowhere. It was like steady. It was consistent. I could see what people were into, what people weren't into. And that for me is the most rewarding aspect, is developing that relationship where I can get a sense of like, okay, they like this kind of stuff. They don't really respond to this kind of stuff. And kind of gauging your guys' interests. So long as you guys are active in the chat and active in the comment sections, you like the videos, it really makes all the difference in the world, because one, it gives me a sense of like, okay, this is what we should aim for. But also, when you like a video, when you comment, when you subscribe, because believe it or not, we still have a good chunk of our viewerships who aren't subscribed, it helps the channel out. Not only does it help in terms of support, but it helps with the algorithm, because YouTube is obviously this whole artificially intelligent being where it's like it's going to read the trends, and the more people we are having in terms of activity, the higher rate that we can grow the channel into something bigger. And I was doing a little bit of reflection earlier today and thinking about 2024 and how great of a year it was, and what kind of goal I want to set for 2025, because I'm very goal oriented, and I genuinely believe that we can get to 5k subs by the end of the year. I would definitely love to see a lot of more people join in terms of subs, in terms of membership, because I think there is an appeal here. Obviously, pro wrestling is the hottest I think it's been in quite some time. So to know that there's other crazy fans like me who are like-minded and also enjoy this crazy thing called pro wrestling, I would love to continue to grow this community into something that I think we all could be proud of. Not just me, but everyone a part of the chat, everyone a part of the J area, for the lack of a better phrase. So I've tried to make it very apparent how appreciative and how grateful I am for the level of support. And again, I might say it too much, but it's because it's how I feel. And that's one thing I hope you guys have learned to come to realize, is I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm going to tell you how I feel. If I'm happy about something, I'm going to let you know. If I'm not, I might not let you know, but I'm certainly going to voice my opinion. And if I'm grateful and appreciative like I am for you guys, I want you guys to know that. I really do. Because I get to go live. I have the privilege of going live 3 days out of the week and have this, in-depth connection with you guys I know you guys show up for the live streams. I'm hoping you guys enjoy like the J Area podcast or the Friday listings that I do. We recently got more reaction videos coming up on Saturdays, and hopefully it continues to grow. I have very high hopes for 2025, but even then, dude, we've had a great year, 2024, and it's only going to keep getting bigger. So we're going to bring it to a close, unless anybody wants to have a late run in the chat. If you guys enjoyed the live stream, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. A like goes a long way. Comment down below who some of your favorite superstars are, whether it's today, whether it's all time. I don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please consider becoming a member of the J Area, or rather becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia. That way you can get exclusive content like videos, early access, exclusive live streams, and also an opportunity to dictate the future videos that we upload here on YouTube. Of course, my name's Ben Jose Ramos Jr. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Hope to see you guys soon. Our next live stream will be Sunday night. We're going to go back and see how that goes. So I hope to see you guys on Sunday night stream. Keep an eye out for Friday. We're going to have the latest listing for Friday. Come out, of course, noon Mountain Standard Time. And again, hope to see you guys on Sunday stream. Thank you guys for joining me. Hope you guys have a great night, great morning. Just have a great day as long as it's great. We'll see you guys then.